We'd like to start the meeting by taking a moment to recognize that here in Nevada, we stand on the land of the Washishu, Washoe, Numi, Northern Paiute, Nuwe, Western Shoshone, and Nuwu, Southern Paiute. We take a moment to recognize and honor their stewardship that continues into today. With this recognition, we state an intention to rightfully include their voice and respect them as the 27 sovereign tribal nations.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. I am Sue Birch and I proudly serve as Executive Director of Nevada Now, and some of our team is here. We have Jerry Burton, who is now Director of Membership and Volunteer Coordinator. I'm going across the screen as I see you. Sarah Evans, who is our Director of Fundraising. You just heard from Eva Love, who is our Secretary. The incredible Michelle Maese, only one, who serves as our Director of Outreach. Lenora Ng-Briley, who serves as our Treasurer. Shanze Aslam, who serves as our Director of Programs and Coalition Coordinator. I'm going through, and I think that's all we've got on here right now. Laura Campbell is helping with a newborn this afternoon. She's our Director of Actions. Madalena Robertson, our Director of Technology and Media, is visiting her new school in North Carolina, where she's going to go get her PhD starting this fall, and we're very proud of her. Who else am I missing? Samantha Glover is off at school too. She's our Director of Action of Youth Outreach. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. This is a big meeting for us with a very important topic. But first, I got a couple of real quick things. I'm going to turn it over to Jerry to talk about our volunteer program and our membership, and then I've got a little bit of a surprise.
Yep, I'll be quick. So we just like to let everybody know that we're an all-volunteer group, that 2024 is a big year for us at Nevada Now. We're going to be supporting the volunteer work to get the reproductive freedom ballot measure on in November. And also we'll be having endorsements for our Nevada Now PAC candidates. And so we'll need people to volunteer and help in any way. If it's going canvassing with us, if it's writing postcards, if your thing is phone banking, whatever it is, I'm going to put some links in the chat for volunteer opportunities. And also our membership, everything we do is funded by our membership and by donations. So I'll drop some things in there for ways that you can help support Nevada Now, because we could really use your help. It's a big year for us, so we're gearing up for it. Thanks.
Yeah, I've said all along it's going to be a crazy election season. We are going to be out on the ground walking. We'd love everybody to come join us. So before I turn it over to Sarah, we would be very remiss if we didn't acknowledge that it's Women's History Month. And as most of you know, we are big supporters of the Las Vegas Aces WNBA team and of the UNLV Lady Rebels, who unfortunately lost yesterday in the NCAA tournament. And we have a lot of history being made with women's sports, not just here in Nevada, but across the country and quite frankly, internationally. So as a surprise, I asked Mel of Girl Chat Sports to jump on, a friend of ours, and that we're glad to have, to jump on and give us a quick history of women in sports that's happening now. And we hope you will subscribe to their podcast, Girl Chat Sports. So Mel, it's all yours.
Hey, thank you, Jerry, Sue, and everybody here in the meeting. I appreciate you thinking of us. Mo sends her wishes. She is busy. Today's like her one-off day, so she's trying to handle some other things. Yeah, as we're talking, I'm also watching on my cell phone some of the games because I don't know if if you haven't been watching the news or watching ESPN at all, you can tell that women's basketball has taken off beyond more the last year or so than it has in many of our years. For most of us, I know for myself, I didn't see these faces on TV or playing when I was growing up playing sports because I might have actually tried harder to do more, knowing that there was, some collegiate abilities later on in life or professional abilities later on in life. But what these women and these young girls are seeing now is amazing to be able to witness. Of course, you got to start with our, the Lady Rebels, the three-time back-to-back-to-back Mountain West champions. They literally have outdone the men's program, and it's astonishing that, they're still trying to get the people to come and visit. When I watched the game, I unfortunately couldn't go to LA yesterday, but the game there had like 0 people in attendance. I mean, there were some, and I knew a few friends that drove out there. I just feel like, there should be more support, not only locally, but if you can't make it to a game, make sure that you're able to catch it on TV, figure out where it's being viewed. We've got our aces, back-to-back championships, hoping for another one this year too. The first WNBA team to sell out their season ticket. Sell out. The first team, and the league has been around for 26 years now, so that is very impressive. They're the first team to have their own facilities strictly for them, which has not happened before. I know the Seattle Storm has theirs, which is coming up soon. I know the Phoenix Mercury have one they're trying to get built as well under their new ownership. But those are some of the things that you wouldn't have seen ever. Like, I'm sure most of you have seen Candace Parker's interview by now, and she was like, I've been in the league for 12, 13 years, and I've never had my own space where I could keep my stuff in a locker. So the fact that professional athletes like that have not had that until now is pretty crazy, but hopefully it's a move towards better. Of course, we're also in March Madness, and it's not just the men. I had a whole rant yesterday because I'm a DirecTV subscriber. I'm still a cable girl because I feel like one day internet's going to shut down and I'll be left without anything to watch. So I was watching their sports mix. It was all the guys' games. They had none of the girls' games on. I had a big rant about it. And when I went on TV yesterday, they actually had a couple girls' games in the mix. So I felt like personally maybe I did something. I don't know. But, we've heard about South Carolina's dominance, Dawn Staley's incredible coaching ability and playing and just Hall of Fame status that she is. Caitlin Clark breaking Pistol Pete's record, which is the most career points for any men or women in college basketball. You've got up-and-comers. You've got Audie Crooks, who plays Iowa State. This woman is a plus-size, full-figured person. So not only is she, representing women, but she's also representing that you don't have to look a certain way and athletic build to play in this league. And she is doing a phenomenal. She had a 40-point game as a freshman the other day. Juju Watkins at USC, Hannah Hidalgo at Notre Dame. I mean, the list goes on, and you kind of think, like, when is the WNBA going to be able to expand? Because there's so many of these great young ladies coming up. Hopefully we're able to catch them in the pros as well. Not just basketball, okay? We do have the WNBA draft coming up, which is exciting, but you also have a professional women's hockey league that started this year. Their first game in Minnesota had over 13,000 fans to watch women's hockey. They also had a new record set with over 19,000 fans that came to a game for women's hockey. So just to take note of that. You also have the Kansas City's, Kansas City has a soccer team, a women's soccer team in the NWSL. They have their own stadium that was built called the CPKC Stadium. It is strictly a women's stadium for their soccer team. It's the first ever to happen in the United States. Those are the kind of things that we want to keep seeing for women's sports. And then, of course, in case basketball isn't your thing and then the other ones, you've seen more women on anchors and analysis on sports, whether it be soccer, football, basketball. We see Candace Parker on TNT almost every Thursday night hanging with the guys. And you also get to see more and more women that are in coaching positions in the NFL, that are also in front office and ownership roles throughout Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NFL. So it's amazing that the women are really giving their dominance in the sports industry, which has always kind of held them back. And I just hope that it continues to grow. And no matter what you do, if you don't have a passion with a certain sport, find something that you like and support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. I so appreciate it. And Sandra mentioned you have volleyball too, but yeah, I mean, every time you turn around, there's something going on, and it is March Madness. And just so you know, I believe the women's final in March Madness, the tickets are selling like the cost of them is twice as much as the men's and selling faster. And same thing with the women's Final Four for NCAA basketball. So it's yeah, you are seeing a lot more stuff all over the place. Yeah, with women's soccer, hockey, as Sandra mentioned, volleyball, coaching jobs, et cetera. So very, very excited. And again, that's our little piece of women's history, because we're very passionate about our Las Vegas based teams. So thank you, Mel, for taking the time.
Thank you.
I know you got I know it's like Stanford and Iowa State coming up tonight. So I checked the schedule. So thank you for taking the time out of watching the games and paying attention to share that little bit with us.
Thank you guys. And yes, I know that it's a big foster thing. I think today is the meeting. So please, yes, foster. I did used to work for a DFS as well. So I know fostering is very important. And I know they're really needing those people out there. So continue to do great work. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Mel. All right, with that, we'd have a little fun. With that, I'm turning it over to our very own Sarah Evans. Take it away.
Hello. So I also worked at DFS with Mel for a long time, or the Department of Family Services. I'm going on 16 years. So this is a subject that I'm super passionate about. And I would like to start off today by recognizing some of our board that's here. Allison is going to be first up. And Allison, I would love for you to be able to introduce yourself, your role at the department, and then give us a reason why you do this work and what keeps you motivated when the days get hard. So Allison?
Good afternoon, everyone. As Sarah said, my name is Allison. My last name is Manu Malayuna. I am a supervisor with the Department of Family Services under our foster care recruitment and retention program. So so our basic goal is to recruit incoming families, process them, get them through the process, and then really support them on the tail end as they're going through training. And the reason why I work in this field is because I enjoy supporting our families. Every family has a story, has a individual situation, and there's always an opportunity to be of support and to help those move on to the next level. And it may not be what I want them to do, or what I think is best for them, but I am proud to say that I support people and where they want to go and where they're going to lead me. So that's why I do this work. And when I see the faces of kids, especially my own kids, and know that there are plenty of opportunities for them out there if they have the support around them, then that keeps me going every day.
Love that. So we all know in Clark County, we have some really unique attributes to our city. And some of that would be transient population. So we have a lot of people move in, we have a lot of people move out. We also, with tourism being our #1 industry, we also have a lot of, unfortunately, sex trafficking, labor trafficking. You know, there's a lot of very unique circumstances that we as the workers, when we're trying to recruit people, have to deal with. So Allison, given that we have these unique barriers, how does this impact the department's ability to recruit and train for foster homes?
So I am not originally from here, but since I've been here, just learning about the state itself and really immersing myself in the state and just the things that are specific and original to the state has really opened my eyes to how important it is for my team to recruit. As I'm a person that moved in here, kind of settled in, kind of got my bearings. I didn't have any family support. I didn't know anyone but the people that I worked with. And so it was really difficult to kind of get my bearings. And just imagine if you're a family that's struggling and you're going through that, it's even harder. So I think that as people are moving in, kind of settling into their own lives, it just becomes an afterthought to maybe give back to the community that they're not really attached to. And so I think it's important that we touch every part of the community as possible so that we're educating everyone, whether it's someone that's been here for 25 years or someone that's been here for 2 months, to share the urgency of children in this state. And I think because there's a lack of connections and a lack of maybe stable communities overall, it is harder to recruit because people are moving in and out, or people are coming from other states and having the expectations of that state. And then they come here and it's very different. The reimbursements are very different. Sometimes the community supports and services available to communities are very different. So it becomes sometimes a barrier for us. So definitely, I think just the makeup of the community as a whole does provide some barriers for us, but we're always thinking of creative ways, like today, speaking to this group to see how else we can connect with the community and share this important message.
Thank you. And right now we are suffering a crisis when it comes to foster homes. We just don't have enough. There's no way to sugarcoat it. The facts are the facts. We don't have enough foster homes to meet the needs of our kids right now. So Allison, if you can go into a little bit more detail about how does the lack of foster homes negatively impact families?
So we have about 3,400 kids in foster care across the state. And there's only about 430 homes. So if you just do the math, there's a lot of kids that are left without a home. And not only does this affect those kids, but it also affects our communities and their natural or biological families. Without a safe place to be or a stable home to be in, our kids are experiencing not only trauma when they are placed in the foster care system, but every day that they're in the system and they're not having those positive adult connections is another trauma that they're experiencing. So not only the trauma that the reason why they came in, but the trauma every single day that they're in care that they're experiencing really makes it hard when we do secure a foster home for them to be able to be in that home and to be successful. It really takes a caring person that's going to have patience, that's going to understand what that trauma is. And it's not the child itself, it's just the things that they've been exposed to and that they have had to deal with. And we're talking about kids as young as 1, 2, 5-year-olds, teenagers. So it's across the whole age spectrum that kids are dealing with this. And even myself as an adult, there's probably, I would say, a lot of stuff that those kids have dealt with that I have never experienced as an adult. I hear about it and I'm exposed to it due to work, but just my personal self, not so much. And so we're putting so much on our children when really they just want a stable place where they can have a caring adult that will spend the time with them to kind of get them moving on to the next steps. And when we don't have enough homes, the children are placed in the county's 24/7, 365 days a year congregate care facility called Child Haven. And at Child Haven, you have to realize that it's staffed by our employees. So kids on Child Haven campus are being put to bed, being fed dinner, bathed, getting ready for school, hair combed, teeth brushed by staff. And staff are coming in and out all throughout the day. And so I imagine as a kid that's there, you're seeing a new face every day. You're seeing a new person every day. Everyone may not take the time that the person before did. And so these kids are all like on a hamster wheel, just trying to keep up and trying to make it and trying until they can get to a stable home. So it's definitely a shortfall in our department and also the system as a whole.
Well, I think largely too, our community, we have to get the community engagement because we can't get stronger foster care systems without a stronger community. So in a perfect world, Allison, how many foster homes do you think we need to really meet the needs of Clark County?
I would say in a perfect world, if I had a magic wand today, I would say between 250 to 300 foster families. That would give us a good cushion for families that need respite. So if there's an emergency or they have to go out of town, that we can have kids going to homes instead of going back to our congregate care facility. Or if there's an emergency placement. So about 250 to 300 would be a nice cushion for the department. And again, it takes our community, like Sarah said. It takes everyone stepping up to get involved, to understanding, even if it's not opening up your home, it's really just sharing the message with someone that might open up their home or that might pass it on to 10 other people that maybe that eighth person that they tell may be interested enough to open up their homes and welcome a child into their home. So we definitely need the support of the entire community. And my team, on a daily basis, we're looking at the information. So we're looking at numbers, we're looking at data, and our recruitment is focused on targeted areas. So a lot of the targeted areas that we're looking at now is we need homes for siblings, 3 or more siblings, because siblings we want them to be placed together. And when we can't find a home for all of them, they end up remaining on Child Haven campus or they end up separated in 2 different homes, 3 different homes. And so we really need homes for our sibling groups. We also have targeted recruitment for our teens. Our teens, people are like, ooh, teenagers, I don't know. But they are some of our kids that are in highest needs. Sarah also mentioned like sex trafficking. A lot of our teens get approached by people in that world and then they become a victim of sex trafficking. So they just need adults that are going to guide them and push them onto the next phase of their lives. Just like when we were growing up, had our parents to lead and guide us, that's really what our teens are looking for, a safe place, stable person that can move them along the way. And then really another targeted area is developmental and special needs kids, finding homes for families that can help care for those needs as well.
Thank you, Allison, so much. I really appreciate your time today. And behind the scenes, you guys, Allison's been doing amazing things. I've been super proud of her and all the work that she's done, especially moving out here from California. I saw the question in the chat. I'm going to answer all the questions at the end, giving everybody the opportunity to speak, and then we'll send the questions to the appropriate people. But next up, we have the fantastic Lynn, and I will let her introduce her role in the department. And I'd also love to hear from you what keeps you going during the hard days and what brought you into this field. And just a side note, guys, Lynn is also an author of 3 books. She does a lot of leadership training, and she's just a fantastic to have around. So Lynn, take it over.
Well, hello, everybody. First, I would love to say thank you for this opportunity to share this information. It's very important for our unit to just be able to get this information out as much as we can. So we're very, very grateful. I am currently a foster care recruiter. That's my #1 role that I play with the department. I've been with the department since 1996, so I've seen a lot of the changes. I will say I appreciate a lot of the changes because they have been improvements for our foster children because I'm a former foster child myself. So right here from Clark County. So I know the amazing changes and amazing opportunities that's afforded to our children these days. What keeps me going is, one, I do genuinely have a passion for what I do. I love children. I love working with families. And that's what the Department of Family Services does, right? We service children, women, and families. So this is one of the best places I could be to try to play a part in that role for the women, children, and families in our community. So I love what I do, and me having my own personal experience, having a good foster mom too, makes me want to be able to give another child an opportunity to where if their home life cannot be safe, to be able to be placed in a home where they can grow, thrive, and heal, and just grow up and to be an example of coming from a lot of grief, loss, and trauma, that you can definitely still make it and become successful and be a viable resource for someone else. So, and I like to be that light too. Like, it's nothing like light when things seem like it's dark, I try to be some light. Yeah.
I can say that for sure because I share an office with you, and life's just
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's get into some of the nitty-gritty details of what foster care actually looks like. How do you become a foster parent?
So the first step in becoming a foster parent is we would like for you to attend the info session. An info session is a place where we provide you with a lot of information about the process, things you would need to do, but also we give you an opportunity to ask a lot of questions of uncertainty, things you're not sure about. A lot of it we do clear up through the information that we automatically provide, but that first step is taking that info session. Once you complete an info session, we try to do them at the same time now, where we do the info session and we get you fingerprinted so we can get your background process started. So those are the first two steps. So we got the info session, we got the fingerprinting, we got the background going, and then we want you to go into, we want to put you immediately into training classes. We have two different training classes. We have what's called expedited, which you can become a licensed foster parent. The classes are over 2 weekends, and then hopefully with them, shortly after you complete that, you become a licensed foster parent. And then we also have the 8-week sessions. Shortly after that 8 weeks, we're looking for you to become a foster parent. During the time that you are in the training, we're getting your licensing done at the same time, where you're going to have a home study licensing worker coming out to assess your home, asking a lot of questions. So that part is being taken care of at the same time. And definitely our goal is always is to get everybody licensed. We do have some additional trainings online that you would take. We talk about safety issues, like you would need a safety kit in your home, a fire ladder in your home. You need carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers. You also need, we have a physical exam form that we need you to take, get filled out. You would do car seat training, CPR training, get your TB test. So there's some things going congruent, but it all flows once you get the process started. It may sound like a lot, but it really all kind of flows together once you get. The goal is to get you in training and get you licensed. So whatever we can do to help you, we be there every step of the way. For people who feel like, well, I don't know how to get those things done, we provide a lot of resource information, where to go get it done. We'll provide the resource if we need to for people who get a licensing work and get so many classes, because our resources get consumed fast. But if we see that your motivation is there, you're getting the trainings done, documents done, because the documents have to be in. If you do expedited, we need all your documents before you get started, because that process is quick. The minute you get into the 8-week classes, we're collecting those documents as soon as possible to get you a licensing worker so we can get you licensed. That's the goal, is to get some licensed foster homes.
Absolutely. And I should have prefaced this conversation with, there is a different kinship, is a little bit different of a process when you're talking about kinship. And we say kinship, that means anybody that knows this child in the community, anybody, any family, any relatives. We want children to be with their kin, if at all possible. So the process is slightly different from if it was a foster home. Do you
and
want
the license is too?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
So we have like 3 different type of licenses. We have advanced foster care, we have eye care homes, we have regular fostering, and we have kinship. So the difference between the kinship license and the regular foster care license is the kinship license is specific for those children. So if I decide, hey, I'm gonna be a kinship to my neighbor's children, I've watched them grow up the last 5 years, I'm gonna get in there and help. When I do that licensing process, they have separate training, but also that license has those children's names on it. So some people be like, oh, well, I can't just come over to be a regular foster parent, because the licensing process is different. With a regular license, you will have age range, you'll have gender preference, and you'll have how many. That's what the license look like. So that's the difference. It doesn't have any specific names, but the matching process is how many you want interested in taking. What's the gender preference that you do have? And then what is your age range? Because we want to make sure we're putting children with you that you feel that would be a best fit for your household. And then eye care homes, there are a lot of advanced, there are emergency placements where they can call you at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, we need to place this child in your home immediately. The goal is for them not to be there, hopefully, for no more than 72 hours, but sometimes it could be 35 to 45 days. It just depends on what's going on with us at the time and the homes that we have available for our children. Advanced foster care is at a higher rate of pay. You get additional training for that because, again, you're going to be working with children with more behavioral needs and some mental health stuff as a result of the abuse, neglect, and trauma that they've experienced. So it impacts children differently. So those are the different homes.
Thank you so much for going over that. Now, I know that you briefly mentioned that you're there to support people when you see that they're motivated and they're trying to get this job done and they want to do it efficiently. What other support systems does the department have in place to help people through this foster care journey?
Okay, so we have foster parent champions. All of the people that work in the foster care champions department, they've either adopted or fostered or still doing both, have done both. They understand the process that our foster parents are going through. They are a #1 support system for all foster parents. All foster parents have access to foster parent champions. Any questions, any concerns, anything they need to know, need to find out, need help getting, foster parents is there to support them through that process. We have things like Urban League, which is a child care agency. They help you get that put in place. They show you how to get the WIC done if you need milk and things like that, that would provide the nutritional part. They help you with things you may not be uncertain about. And sometimes it can be a little intimidating when you're going through a process, but you're not sure how to do key areas like the daycare part. That's a significant thing that our foster parents want to utilize. So we have them, they're even over there with foster parent champions now, Urban League. That's how serious we're taking trying to get resources and services. We have foster kinship. We have RAPS, which is providing resources for foster families as well. We have Peggy's Attic, Hannah's Closet, also provide clothing and items and stuff for foster children. You could go there once a month. We cover all medical expenses. We do have reimbursements for our foster families that are willing to take our children in their home. We also, depending on what's going on with our children, there's what's called VST and PSR services. VST is basic skills training, where we come out and help our children learn basic skills. Some of our children, because of their grief, loss, and trauma, they can tie their shoes today, and you come back tomorrow and they totally forget what you taught them the day before. So we want to have extra reinforcers. PSR is kind of like psychosocial that's offered to our children with out-of-home services. They're more geared towards helping with mental health like depression, anxiety. They can come in and also support our families with their resources. Healthy Minds is one of our #1 resource agencies for the mental health piece, that all our children receive mental health services. So they come in and help as well. So we got a lot of resources available, and we are hoping that our families learn to utilize them, because that'd be a big barrier if they don't understand how to utilize the resources. And we don't want them to feel alone.
It's so true. And a lot of these relatives, so all those resources are also good for relatives and for foster parents. These relatives, you imagine getting a phone call in the middle of the night, like, oh my gosh, I have all your nieces and nephews and you have to come pick them up right away. So a lot of times it's very, very quick. We're running and we're doing things as possible, doing as much as possible to help these parents feel supported in whatever they need. But Lynn, what other, when and where are the additional information meetings that you guys are doing? Because you guys are in a lot, you're in the community a lot. I know that you have coming up. So tell us about your upcoming meetings so people can find out more information.
So right this time, we are centrally located in a lot of different ones. We try to have info sessions located throughout the Vegas Valley so people won't be stuck with going to specific areas. So we're doing Nevada Partners. We're doing a church like Hope Church is in Henderson, and then we have Canyon Ridge over in Northtown. So that's why those two churches and other churches, when they have time and availability, we have churches helping us with info sessions. We're doing them at libraries right now. Aliente is one. We also do them at Alexander Library. We have another library coming up. We're going out to schools doing info sessions for staff that's available. We're doing staff development days for teachers. We're doing staff meetings at different organizations. We're really trying to get in there and do info sessions, because that's the first step. If we can get that done for people, it gets their process moving along. So we're kind of in a lot of different places. The center now is also going to be one of our resource agencies that's going to help us facilitate info sessions there. So we're definitely trying to get out in the community, and I'm going to put it out there. If you know somewhere that we can be given an opportunity, please reach out to us so we can coordinate how to come and facilitate one for either your organization or some other organization that you know about. We would love to come, and we'll come to you. You don't have to come to us, and we'll get everything organized and situated. You can just tell us where to go, and we coming. And so, we do places like the Wealthy Place that has a large congregate amount of people in one place. So we're showing up at those type of places. The NAN meetings that I know some of you guys from, we're definitely trying to get out there in as many places as much as we can just to share the word. We talk about if you don't want to become a foster parent, we do want you to, but we talk about 10 other ways that you can support the foster care system. I do want to touch on that because it's so much more we can do, because the goal is also, we don't have enough foster families, but let's strengthen the ones we do have so we can keep them in the game, right? And if there's so many, if we can get, have people do drives for our foster families where they're helping provide fire extinguishers, safety items, backpack drives, you know, just anything that we can also support our foster families as well as our children. We would love to and welcome anything that you can assist us with doing. And again, we'll come to you. We don't got, you know, anything we could do, we would definitely, we boots on the ground trying to get out here, trying to get the information out. And another thing I do want to say, flyers and brochures, if you want to leave your contact information so we can follow up with you guys, and drop off some flyers and some brochures so you can help us put them out and distribute them, we will bring them to you as well.
Yes, thank you guys so much. And Lynn just kind of hit on, and we're going to talk a lot more about it, the intersectionality of foster care compared to like all the other welfare systems in our community. So thank you, Lynn. I really appreciate you. Next up, we are going to talk to somebody who's in the field of recruitment. So her role is to find homes for kids, Miss Carrie. But first off, I'm gonna try and share this video. So I hope this works. But I'm gonna share a video of Carrie's kids that she's currently looking for a home for. So just 1 second and I'll get that video.
So you can say goodbye to your optometrist for good. Did you know that vision impairments have nothing to do?
So we have Josiah and Janae today, and they are sibling set that we are looking for a forever home for. They are very bonded. Janae drives Josiah up the wall, but they are very bonded. It's obvious that they love each other very much. 1, 2, 3, cheers. Josiah is a really fun kid. He is funny even when he's not trying to be. He's just a great kid. He's very affectionate. I'm very sweet. It's nice and surprise me nice. What did you love your sister? Oh, that's a good guy. I spilled the water. He is very intelligent and is able to do a lot of cool stuff. He has a great memory. Janae is very affectionate. She loves to like snuggle. She likes to have her blanket wrapped around her and play with her tablet. She loves to jump on the trampoline and sing. She's also a sweetheart. She's just very, very kind and loving child. Hi, Jane. You're not alone when you adopt children with special needs. You do get a lot of help from the department, and it's all set up in advance. So there's post-adoption services available for many of our adoptions, including Janae and Josiah. Josiah and Janae are a light. They just bring such light and love into the world that need to find their forever home, and that's what we're looking for, is a forever home for Janae and Josiah.
Did we lose you, Sarah? There you are.
Just for a quick second, because all of a sudden my computer would not stop sharing a video, and I was like, stop it. Anyway, so moving on to why we're here, to let the fabulous Carrie speak. I'm going to let her introduce her role, and also Carrie would love to hear what keeps you going through the hard days and what brought you into this field in the first place.
Hi, my name is Carrie, and I'm an adoption recruitment worker with the department. Prior to becoming an employee of the department, I was a foster parent and then an adoptive parent and then I went back to get my social work degree and decided to go work for the department. So I'm highly motivated by my like personal story with my kiddos and seeing what adoption looks like later on and seeing like the after effects of adopting teens and seeing what that looks like for them, as well as little ones. So it's kind of a broad spectrum, but through the hardest days, I think that just seeing children achieve permanency, however that looks, whether it's reunification because parents became safe and are able to take care of their children, or with family, or through adoption or guardianship. So seeing kids be able to have that permanency and be out of the system is what motivates me to keep going on the hard days.
And we've kind of talked about some of the uniqueness that we share in Clark County and like how it impacts our system. In your role as a recruitment specialist, what are some of the difficulties that you see that you have in order to get these kids forever homes?
With the kids that are in recruitment, a lot of them have been in foster care for a substantial amount of time. Typically, it's a lot longer than an average child is in foster care. They've likely had multiple placements, which have added to the trauma that they have, which ends up making their behaviors reflect a lot of the trauma that they've experienced. And that's a little overwhelming sometimes for people. So that sometimes is a barrier. And the children have they have some more unique, the ones that are in recruitment have some more unique issues that some parents feel that they're not equipped to handle. We do offer a lot of support, but people are a little bit nervous or hesitant going into it initially. And then another barrier is that people are willing to adopt, but they don't want to do the fostering first. So in order to adopt, you do need to have a child in your home for 6 months and foster them, and then you're eligible to adopt them. But some people don't want to go through that process and just want to do immediate adoption.
You mentioned your own journey in the foster care world. Tell us about some of your amazing moments that you had as a foster parent.
So long before I started working for the department, I felt like even before having bio kids, I felt a pull to become a foster parent. And I went through the process, just like they were explaining earlier, with the classes and the fire extinguishers and all that. And initially we were a foster only, and we weren't planning to adopt, but within 5 years we adopted 5 kids. And so we quickly ran out of space. That's why I kind of felt like, okay, if I'm still going to try to help this vulnerable population, I'm going to have to do it a different way. But I think that just watching the bio kids and the adoptive kids bond and become a real family has been very, very rewarding. Going through challenging times, but making it through to the other side has been very rewarding as well. So just watching them thrive in like a loving and safe environment, and just watching their growth and watching all their achievements has been the most rewarding.
And what were some of the challenges that you faced as a foster parent?
The hardest part about fostering is the uncertainty of what is ahead of you. So you don't know how long the child is going to be in your home. It could be a couple days, it could be a couple weeks, months, years. It's really, every case is different, and there's no way to know the outcome of a case. So you really just have to be willing to open up your home and your heart to a vulnerable child that needs safety and nurturing. And you have to put your own needs aside for that, because you can't plan. And I'm a planner, so that was so hard for me to be like, what's going to happen? Are they going to go to Kansas with their family member? Do they need to be adopted? Are they going to be forever? Are they going to take our last name? Or are they, is mom going to be okay? And are they going to go? So being on that roller coaster is challenging. But again, anyone who's interested, I think it's just like really looking deep within to be like, I'm setting aside that so that I can provide safety and love for someone in need.
And any other kind of fun memories that you have after you adopted your kids and they became yours forever? Anything other kind of fun things that happen as an adoptive parent?
I think something that's really cool is that we got more family through it. So two of my kids, they had a grandma. They have a grandma that was unable to adopt and keep them for a multitude of reasons. but she became like our family grandma. So she's, to all the kids in the family, she's grandma. She's at all of our holidays. She has gone on vacation with us, and it's really, we really embraced her. She's embraced us. So we have additional family. Two of my teenage kids had an older teen sister, and she also became part of the family and is at our thing. So not just did we acquire family through adoption, but we got to acquire more extended family and develop relationships that have been really, really rewarding and fun.
I love that. Thank you again so much for all that you do, Carrie, and all that hard work and recruitment. Please, if you're interested in any more videos or any other kids that might need forever homes, you can always contact Carrie and she can walk you through that process. Well, now I'd like to turn the floor over to Miss Michelle, who's also our fellow board member and also works at the Department of Family Services with us. And she's going to talk a little bit more about that intersectionality that Lynn mentioned earlier and things going on with legislation.
Hi, thank you so much, Sarah. I just wanted to thank everybody, and this program is really, really awesome that Jerry and Sue allowed us to do this for Women's History Month, and just thank you to the workers who came on today to make it possible for us to learn more about foster and kinship care. So I want to go over a couple of things, and I just wanted to also say thank you and welcome to the other Michelle Mayase, who is actually our director, Jill Monreno. But, you know, Eva, if you can retitle her, that would be great. But I want to say hi to Jill, and I'm going to pass it to her afterwards. But I definitely want to take a moment to say that as a child that was adopted from the foster care system, how important it is to have foster parents. And I do recognize that we have had some bills in the past. And when I talked about in the chat, I was trying to get to the chat while people were making comments and just some questions. So NRS 432B also governs Nevada state welfare, which encompasses foster care and kinship. A lot of times we focus on foster care because if you do have a relative or someone you know that's gone to foster care, you're the first phone call, right? So if, let's just say that I had kids that were in the foster care system, my mom would be the first phone call, would be grandma, right? Or be uncle, would be aunt. And so a lot of times that's where kinship comes in, but a lot of times you are the first phone call. It's the kids with no family or family that can't have the placements that we need to reach out to foster. So that's why you'll hear us say kinship and then foster care. So I was a supervisor, I still am a supervisor with Department of Family Services for the Child Abuse and Neglect Unit for 4 and under and sex abuse. And those units are specific to the types of children that face types of abuse and neglect. We found what's important with partnering with our community at SCIU Local 1107, which I'm the president for that as well. We have about 1,800 people that we represent at Department of Family Services and about 87 at Juvenile Justice. And so we have over the last, I'm going to say 10 years, partnered with different agencies to pass legislation that helps children and families, that helps our nurses, that helps foster care, and our workers. In 2018, we passed a bill that was domestic violence and violence in the workplace for our nurses. We also passed confidentiality for social workers and people under the abuse and neglect system who are either social workers and the DA's office also was able to add on to that bill who prosecuted abuse and neglect, as well as the director and the county manager and code enforcement. Last year, we partnered with Assemblywoman Clara Thomas, who is our SCIU member, to pass AB 140, which was Juneteenth. And then I'm also aware, Assemblywoman Thomas had AB 166 that talked about foster kinship programs dedicated to kinship care, which we just talked about kinship care. And then this year, we will be partnering with Department of Family Services, this is why Jill is here as well, to talk about no eject, no reject, which Jill was going to talk more about when it comes to the children that are at Child Haven campus. So with that, I will pass it over to Jill. If you could talk about what happens when children are initially placed in foster care, or initially the call comes in. If you want to start with intake process, when the call comes into intake, what happens? What do the workers do? How do you get from kinship and foster care? And then we can talk about Child Haven campus and no eject, no reject. Take it away, Jill.
Okay, sure thing. Thank you so much. So as Michelle stated, I'm Jill Morano. I am the director for Department of Family Services, and I really want to thank you. I want to thank this whole group for taking time today to hear about this really important topic and something we've been struggling with for quite a while. Just for a little bit of background, how child welfare works, particularly in Clark County, is that it's a county-run system. And so what that means is that the county is responsible for administering child welfare in in all of Clark County, including the outlying areas. How the process starts is that somebody calls in a concern of abuse or neglect. That goes into our intake hotline, and we take about 11,000 reports a year are generated due to calls that are coming into that line. We go out and respond on those 11,000 calls. About 20% of those, about 20 to 25% of those calls, we end up determining are substantiated for abuse or neglect. And typically about 18% of those end up resulting in a removal of a child. And so that's really, once that child is removed, that's what triggers the child entering foster care and us needing to determine what the most appropriate placement is. As Ms. Massey indicated, our first thing that we're going to do is look for relatives. And so the first thing we're going to do is call up grandma and auntie or uncle and see if anybody can be a resource to that child. If somebody can't be a resource to that child, we then look for unrelated care. So unrelated care would be, somebody has never met the child before. That's what you think of sort of as typical or traditional foster care that you've already heard a lot about today about what that is. If we can't find anybody in traditional foster care, that's when we end up having to use our emergency shelter, Child Haven. It's always our last choice. It's a congregate care shelter. It's a set of cottages and children living in cottages with a bunch of kids that they don't know and shift staff. And the staff do a great job of taking care of kids, but we all know that children deserve to live with families. They have a right to be with a family. They shouldn't have to live in a congregate care setting. And so we work really hard once they're there to try and find family settings, whether it's relatives we couldn't initially identify or other foster homes. But the children that end up staying there the longest are the children with significant behavioral or developmental needs. And so the tough part about that is the congregate care setting is also the worst for kids with behavioral or mental health needs because it's very inconsistent. There's not a lot of structure, and that can become very dysregulating for children. And what we see when that happens, when kids are in that type of setting, is that they tend to react more. It re-traumatizes them. It can sometimes bring out really, really struggle behaviors that really make them struggle in school, in other settings. So what the piece that we have then is we see a lot of kids escalating through the system, whether they're escalating through the juvenile justice system and they're because they start to become runaways, they commit delinquent acts when they're on runaway, and now they're getting into the juvenile justice system. So you see this disproportionate impact for children in foster care who now are entering the juvenile justice system. And so we really need community partners or placements or options where children can go live in smaller settings that they can get the treatment and the support that they need. And so I think a lot of these mental health, I could talk forever about all these mental health needs, but it was really exacerbated during COVID. The social isolation, the lack of community-based services, the lack of providers being able to come into people's homes, made a situation where a lot of kids that needed treatment weren't getting it. And so we saw an escalation of behaviors, and we really still haven't worked our way out of that problem yet. We still have not as many community providers, not as many services available. So we're finding that kids, when they have to go to an institution or some sort of residential treatment program, what's happening when they get there is that if the facility can't manage them, they're discharging them before they've completed treatment, and they're going back to places like Child Haven, and really having a lot of now their behaviors are even more compounded once they're there. So what we've seen as successful legislation in other states is saying if a facility can meet the needs of the child, they have to take the child. If they can't take the child, then that facility where the mental health experts works needs to find an appropriate facility. You can't just discharge a child to an emergency shelter. We view that as discharging a child to homelessness, which should never be an acceptable solution. And so we've seen examples in other states where they've said if you take public funds or if you take insurance for a placement, you must discharge only to an appropriate placement. And so that's kind of been coined as a no eject, no reject language.
Thank you so much, Jill. And Jill, oh, did
I can, no, I can see some comments coming up, but I can't see.
It's okay.
I haven't been able to read them all, so I don't know if there are questions.
Yeah, I'm going to put your info in the chat. I'll do it for you while you're talking. And if you could talk about, we've been taking some legislatures around Shellhaven campus. Jill has been awesome to walk with myself and a few of the elected officials to the campus, and we can tell them what that was about over the last, couple of months we've been doing this.
Yeah, it's been really great. We've been able to have many legislators or local politicians coming to learn more about what we do at Child Haven, and just to get to see what happens when we don't have the resources that we need in the community to appropriately care for the kids, to see where they're living and what it's like for them when we can't place them where we really want to be able to place them, in an appropriate setting. So just, I don't know if we mentioned it yet or not, but we have about 111 kids on the campus today. That's up. It was 85 maybe 3 weeks ago. It's a number that ebbs and flows. We'd really like to be more in the 40, the number of kids on the campus being around 40 or so. So it's really hard to see kids that have that many mental health and behavioral health needs with that many kids together. And so we like to be able to, it's a delicate balance because we want people to understand what kids are going through, but we don't want to have kids feel like they're on display. And so we try to walk through maybe when kids are in their rooms or when, during school hours, so people can see where they're living, but not necessarily have kids have to feel like they're the focus of some sort of, presentation.
Thank you. And if you could talk about any other correlations from any other states that we have or that have a Child Haven or don't have a Child Haven and what that looks like, what's best practice, that would be great.
Yeah,
too.
a lot of states, it's fairly unusual and atypical to have a facility like a Child Haven, like to have this temporary shelter. And really, we think that we probably need about 300 to 400 more foster homes to be able to not need a Child Haven. What we have seen, though, in other states where they have eliminated their shelters, particularly during COVID when there was a placement crisis, is that children ended up needing to be hoteled or sleeping in offices and conference rooms. And that is just, it's really, that is completely unacceptable to me. While it concerns me having a congregate shelter and concerns me to have kids living like that, I'd much rather have kids in a congregate care shelter like what we have at Child Haven, as opposed to being hoteled somewhere or living in a conference room.
Thank you. Is there anything else you think that we should know about foster care, kinship care before I turn it back over to Sarah, who turns it back over to Autumn for CASA?
The one other thing that I would just add is that we are not alone in this state, in Nevada, for having a crisis among children's mental health. It is something that is being experienced across the country. Colorado is one of the states that we talk to a lot about it. They seem to have experienced a very similar situation with their struggles with their state mental health system, being able to adequately meet the needs of the local community. Ohio is another state that we've spent a lot of time talking to. I think there's a big intersection between the crisis that is being experienced on the child welfare side and juvenile justice reform, and where we're seeing a lot of kids that maybe previously would have been served by the juvenile justice system are now being served in the child welfare system. And so trying to figure out how do you build a system that meets the needs of those kids is really one of the other big things that we're seeing and that we're seeing across the country.
Thank you so much. And just because this question is related to what you just said, Assemblywoman Thomas asks, where can I find the history of Child Haven? You want to answer that for her?
That's a really, yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know that we have it documented anywhere, but yeah, there might be some public records that talk about when it was created and how long it's been there. But now that you've asked that question, I want to go back and see if I can find it something. So I'm happy to do some research and follow up.
I will connect both of you by text message right now so you have each other's phone numbers. Okay?
Okay.
Jill,
Perfect.
when
Thank
you
you.
when you're looking for that information, there's a period that there's a break in between. So make sure you know, there's a prior to and then there's an after. When Child Haven was in effect, it came out of effect and went back in effect. So remember, it's two. It's going to be two spans of time that Child Haven was in place.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jill. We appreciate you being here today, and I will hand it back over to Sarah.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And like what Jill was saying in regards to having kids go sleep in conference rooms and go sleep in hotels, that would be the workers who would have to go stay there with those kids. So then the workers are separated from their families, leading to a higher burnout in an already field that has a tremendous amount of burnout. And I don't know the exact history of Child Haven. I'm glad that you guys will connect on that later. I can tell you throughout the years, as I have been working for a very long time at Department of Family Services, it was always told to me that the purpose of Child Haven was because we had such a transient population that they didn't have enough foster homes. So us not having enough foster homes spans way, way back. Again, I don't know the authenticity of that because it is something that's just been told to me hands down. But after all this information about our Department of Family Services, how it works, how to become a foster parent, I'm very thankful that everybody participated in this discussion. I'd like to end, though, with another way that you can continue to help support our kids in need through a completely different program that's called CASA. And I will let Ms. Autumn go ahead and share more about CASA, what that looks like, and her role in helping develop these kids in our care.
Hi, you guys. Thank you. So my name is Autumn Strand, Program Administrator for Champions for CASA. Champions for CASA is a newer organization produced solely to support the CASA Las Vegas program with recruitment and retention of CASA volunteers. We share quite a similar issue here at CASA, as does DFS and foster parents. We are drastically underserved with the volunteers that we need to service the foster children of our community in the way that we serve it. But first, I just want to say how much I have appreciated listening to everybody here. It always warms my heart when I hear women or people of any kind talk with so much passion and fury about this problem we're all facing nationwide, not just within Clark County with our children in care. So one of the things that always breaks my heart when I talk to people and they don't know about CASA is I'll hear so many people who were interested in being a foster parent. They had the heart to do it. They wanted to help the community's children, but for one reason or the other, it wasn't the right fit for them. And it breaks my heart to know that they did nothing. So CASA, we service foster children. However, there is a big difference in comparison to being a foster parent. So with a foster parent, it does take for you to open your home. You will be, responsible for this children's basic needs, food, clothing, housing, all that. As a CASA volunteer, you will not be responsible for any of that. However, you do make a huge significant impact on the foster child or sibling group that you get assigned to as a CASA volunteer. So to simplify what it looks like to be a CASA volunteer, so you get credentialed and trained by the 8th Judicial Court District, and then you get assigned a case that's within foster care. And so the biggest goal of being a CASA and the CASA program entirely is twofold, I would say. So your main objective is to be an advocate for that child or sibling group. CASA actually stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. So you will spend time getting to know your foster child's case. You will actually spend time directly with your CASA kiddo or sibling group, taking them to the park, doing fun things, just really deeply getting to know them. You'll also be opened up to their case reports. You will be opened up to their case manager, their foster parents, their schools, their therapist, their social workers. You will know this child and what's gone on in their life very deeply. And you will actually have the opportunity to advocate for them in their court proceedings and make a direct impact on the choices that are being made. Sometimes with the best intentions, this system gets very overrun, overworked, burnt out. And the value within a CASA volunteer is we typically like to have our volunteers only have one case at a time. You can take on more later down the line, but it gives you this opportunity to really get to know this one child or this one sibling group and have the time and the mental space to really kind of slow things down and make sure that the right opportunities and choices are being made on their behalf. I've also gotten the opportunity to speak to adults who had CASAs when they were a child in foster care, and they still talk to them to this day. So you're making this direct impact right now on their case, on the decisions, on the fires that are happening now, but you're also building such an impactful bond with these children in a similar way that a lot of foster parents will, where they become your buddy. They become, you know, your little CASA kiddo that if you so choose and if it naturally happens that way, it could be a lifelong bond. So yeah, that's the basics of what it looks like. It's also a much less time commitment than, say, being a foster parent. Most of our volunteers are going to spend around 10 hours a month with their CASA hat on. I think everybody here knows it's all very case by case basis, how much time that may look like, what's going on in that child's life, what's going on in your life. But it really is such a great opportunity if you're not able to be a foster parent right now, to be able to do something and you have such a huge impact, although it may not be as much time and as much effort, the impact is still very large in that child's life. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And
So
sorry,
important.
what'd you say?
Oh no, I was just saying CASAs are so important. We are so grateful for
Yeah.
you, but continue on, Autumn.
Yeah, and I was just going to talk about maybe some of the challenges of being a CASA and some of the best parts of it. So it's, you know, being a CASA and being a foster parent are very similar in a lot of ways. I feel like they say with any child, it takes a village. And that's basically CASA and foster parenting. You know, I feel like CASAs are almost kind of like your foster aunt or uncle or something like that. But so the challenges can be quite similar to what it feels like to be a foster parent. I would say the biggest challenge I hear from all of our volunteers is not being able to make immediate difference or an immediate connection in this child's life. Sometimes you could be working away at something for 6 months and maybe, you know, you're not seeing the results. But then the best part of it is kind of exactly that same thing at the very end, seeing something finally come together, seeing a change, a huge impact that you made, whether that's 6 months or 10 years down the line. It's, you know, there's nothing quite like being able to know that you had an impact on changing a child's story, a child's life. So.
We thank you so much for all the work that you do for our community. If anybody's interested in becoming a CASA, can you point them, like, do you have an informational meeting? Do you have a website they can go to?
Yeah, and so we are also on a pretty big informational campaign as well. We are struggling in the context, we only have 420 volunteers and we need 1,500. So we've got a big gap to fill as well. If you, just to make it simple, if you visit championsforcasa.org, I put that website in the chat section. If you visit there, you'll see some of our Zoom calls that we do to go way more in depth with it. There's also an inquiry form that you could fill out and you'll get contacted by us and you can have a direct conversation with one of us and learn more. So that's where I would go if you're curious about it.
Adam, you're amazing. Please let us know how we can help you on your journey to get more CASAs, because I'm telling you guys from real life experience, they can make or break our case. So it's incredible work that you do. Well, guys, it was our program in regards to foster care and kinship care. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Please, you'll see everybody's contact information in the chat. So if you have any follow-up questions, or if you, like Lynn had said earlier, if you know of any other organizations that would spend some time talking about this really, really important ask in our community to get more volunteers and to get more support. And sometimes it's just the education piece. If you understand our system, you're going to be more friendly possibly to a foster parent or to a CASA, like we all have to support each other. So again, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Sue and Jerry to see if there's anything else that I missed or anything else that we need to talk about.
I have a quick question, Sue.
I think Jerry has a question.
So of course, Nevada now wants to help in any way we can. That's one of the reasons we had the program, but also we know both you and Michelle, and we hear about the need all the time. How can we share that information, like on social media? We have our email reach with our members. So I know both of you will reach out and let us know, but maybe other people might have that same question. And then is there such a thing as like a clothing drive or a toy drive or something like that maybe we could do? So, we're all in however we can help.
I would love to answer that. So are you doing that, Lynn?
I was just going to say, we can send you out any type of digital information that you need. We have it already together. So I've emailed you guys already. So I'll loop back, and I'm okay with just sending you. We got some sibling information, Allison, that we just getting ready to put out. So we'll send you guys. Basically, we might be inundated with information, but we'll get it to you. We got it.
And Lynn, as things pop up, keep sending them to us, because we have a pretty good social media following. We've got a pretty good list of email. We can include that in our information as we're, monthly doing things. So thank you.
And everybody keep in mind, like nothing is too small of support for us. Like anything, we even hang a flyer, pass it, talk to a neighbor, what church you go to, share that information. Like we don't want to feel like there's nothing or no area, any type of support, a phone call. Like we are open to any way that you feel you could support the CASA side, the kinship side, nothing is too small, because we have such a great need. That's what I'm trying to say.
Jerry's question was going to be exactly my question. Is just what can we do? And yes, be consistent. You just send the information. Don't worry about bombarding us. We will get it out there. Yes, we might look into doing some kind of a drive for whether it's backpacks or what have you. We'll figure that out. Just a awesome job, Sarah, Michelle. Thank you for putting this group together. I am in awe of the work you all do. You know me, I get emotional. So there's just no words. I whatever we can do, just seriously, whatever we can do. This recording of this meeting will go on our YouTube channel. The recording will be emailed out to our membership, but we know it needs more than that, and we are at it to keep at it till we can meet the needs. If we can make a little bit of difference, we're here to help.
Hey Sue, I think another good thing to do would be like when we have our gala this year, we could do something around then, like everybody brings something for a ticket, and then we could have them come to the gala just to be like speakers as well, because I think that would be good. And Jerry's so humble about the network of people. You have over 10,000 that you can reach on email and social media, so that's a really big deal. But I definitely feel like during the gala season, and that would be a great way for us to get out there.
We can do multiple things, Michelle. We are all volunteers, but we take a lot of pride in our work and in the community, and because we always want to help.
Yep.
And
you guys do a great job.
And work in coalition with a lot of groups. We'll get other people.
A lot of groups. Yep.
Eva had a question. She had her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eva.
Yes. What I was going to ask is, do you do presentations to churches?
Lynn's nodding yes.
Yes, we do. We want to be able to come speak to congregations. Absolutely. And the idea is we could be on rolling calendars where we circle back. Like I'm on a couple of churches where I go back every 3 months to one, 6 months to one, just so we can get the word. And the pastors have been very open with understanding. The more the congregation hear it, the more they be likely to start catching on board and get involved more. So yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, because I know people in a number of pretty good sized churches, and I can't imagine that they wouldn't want to have their congregations hear this.
Well, we would love to. We would love to.
And I don't know if our panel is aware, but on this meeting there are several judicial candidates as well as a Clark County School Board trustee candidate. So just wanted you to know that they were part of the audience today. So we thank them for being here too and listening. But yeah, fabulous job, Sarah. Thank you and Michelle. Thank you to everyone that to every one of our speakers. I can't even talk. Yeah. Anything else? And Autumn, keep us posted on how to volunteer, everything, all of it. Just bombard us.
Anna's a foster parent. Thank you, Anna, for being, a CASA. Thank you, Anna, for being a CASA.
Did we talk to Anna?
In the chat.
No, she's just in the chat saying that she's a CASA.
Thank you, Anna. That's our school board candidate. Yay. So yeah, anything else from anybody? Well, thank you all for giving up your Sunday afternoon and hanging out with us. We appreciate the information, and we'll just keep the information rolling. Hi, Anna Marie. There you are. And have a go March Madness. I don't know.
Sue, Ray just said she's a huge fan of CASA and ran the Milwaukee CASA program.
Yeah, there we
are
go.
Popular in here.
Yes,
yes.
That's a judicial candidate for you.
Yeah.
In fact, a Nevada now endorsed judicial candidate, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it for now.
Sue, can I say something?
Yes, Audrey.
I don't want to share my experience at Child Haven because I will cry. But not that I was there, but I visited there, and there was this little 3-year-old, absolutely beautiful little boy that just would not leave me alone, and it was almost like going to a pet adoption. It was like I wanted to bring this child home so bad. But what I wanted to say is that our Buddhist organization one year, and that's how I ended up meeting this child, we helped with a Halloween party at Child Haven, and it was really a wonderful experience. So we haven't, a lot of the youth were part of that, and so unfortunately we haven't been back to do that. But what I can offer is in December we do Santa and Mrs. Claus, and we'd be happy to come there. Jerry knows how to find me.
I'm gonna give Jill your phone number, okay, Audrey? That's so awesome.
Yeah, we would love to coordinate with that.
Okay, I'm gonna connect you both.
They do a great job too.
They do.
They do a really good job, and Audrey's also a phenomenal photographer too. So just throwing that in there.
And Audrey, we can work together on an event sometime with the Federation of Democratic Women. So
we can figure this out.
Let's do it. Let's do it. It's so important, that, and it's also important, I know that you probably have a hard time sometimes really vetting the correct people to be these foster parents too, because I've known some that were questionable and some that were really great, and so that adds to the difficulty of what you do, and I applaud you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I can't even speak, Audrey. I'm in awe, just absolute awe, and as I think everybody is. So yeah, thank you again. We'll end it. You can all take yourselves off mute, and we'll have a very cheery goodbye.